Hello again. We're back. Today we are going to learn how to stitch our two eggplant pieces together. And once we do that, we will stuff it and it will be done. So the first thing you want to do is pin together both sides if you have pins. If you don't have pins, that's okay. You're just going to make sure that you sew very carefully, keeping the edges together. Another really important thing at this step is to leave an opening. So right here, I am not going to sew this little part because we want to leave a gap for the stuffing to go in. So we're going to thread our needle again. I am using thicker embroidery floss for this part and a thicker embroidery needle because it's a little more heavy duty. However, if you don't have that and you just have some regular thread and a needle, it will work fine. You might want to double up your thread. So that would be meaning taking two strands and tying them in a knot at the end here so that it's doubled up and it's a little thicker. So once you have your needle threaded and your two sides together, decide where you want to start. So I'm going to start right here. And this time we're going to go in through the back of the front piece of the eggplant. So what we don't want to do is go through both pieces to start. We want to go in from the back of the front piece so that this knotted tail gets hidden on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to do a new kind of stitch. It's called a whip stitch. And instead of going up and down from the back to the front, we're going to take our thread and whip it over the two edges. So, and as you can see here, my knot is on the inside. So I'm going to whip it over. I like to hold the thread in my left hand. I'm right-handed, so I'm using the needle in my right hand and then whipping it over and kind of securing it here with my left hand. And for this stitch, you're always going to go from the front to the back. The needle is always going to push up from the back. So if you're pushing your needle from the front, you need to consider changing your technique. And so here's my first little stitch there. And then again, I'm going to whip it from the front to the back, kind of hold it with my left hand or your right hand if you're left-handed to hold that tension, and then push from the back to the front. Oops, sometimes things get a little bit tangled. I will just do a couple more. So as you can see, I am taking this, whipping it from the front to the back, and then pushing the needle from the back to the front. And you want to go all the way around, leaving probably about at least an inch, maybe a 2-inch, depending on how big your project, gap. So I'm going to go all the way around, and then I'm going to stop here and leave this little area open so that I can put my stuffing in. Alrighty, it's time to stuff our little eggplant or whatever creature that you made. You can use a few different things to stuff it. You could use polyfill, which is the most common. It's just like a polyester blend. They also make cotton blends of stuffing if you want to use natural fibers. If you don't have either of those things lying around your house or don't want to purchase them, you could cut up some old rags and stuff it with that. Maybe you have an old stuffed animal that's falling apart. You could take the stuffing from that and put it in here. Just anything that's fabric and squishy. So to start, you're gonna take little pieces of whatever material that you chose and start to just push it into that opening. I'm gonna start by pushing this into the top where the littlest parts of the project are, you can use your finger. If you've got like a really narrow spot like this, you might want to use a chopstick or, you know, a pen or something to like make sure you get it in there. And you're just gonna keep adding it little bit by little bit until it is as full as you want it to be. This is really up to you. If you want it to be really puffed out or not so much. So we're just gonna keep doing that until it is as stuffed as we want it to be. Now that it's stuffed, we are going to sew up that little opening using the same technique that we were using to go all the way around. When you're sewing up that opening, it can be a little tricky because you want to kind of like hold the pieces together. Just going to keep using that whip stitch. You may find that you need to add a little bit of stuffing as you go along just to even it out. So just keep adding little bits until you get to the end. Once you get to the end, we're going to finish it off similar to the way we finished it off with the accessories on the front. We're going to act as if we're doing another whip stitch. So whip it from the front to the back. Once you get the thread on the back, hold it with your finger, and then we're going to do that little technique where we take up just a tiny bit of fabric or felt, not quite enough to go all the way through. Pull, 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 almost all the way, and then we're going to get this little loop again. And we're going to, again, swoop through the loop. So that means taking our needle and putting it through the loop, pulling tight, and that will create a knot. Then all you have to do is snip the end. Not too close because you don't want it to unravel. And there you have it. You just made an adorable little stuffy. Hooray!